Hi, I'm Georgette Pierre, and you're listening to Black and Nuance Podcast, dispelling the idea that all Black people are monoliths because we're not. My guests and I bring our varying perspectives to pop culture, relationships, and things we go through that we can't always name. Welcome to Black and Nuance. Shout out to Excitement Radio and highly unique Soul Flow Radio in South Florida. Real quick, I really feel like it's important to also honor everything that is going on. And I want to say the names of those that have been brutally murdered by police these past couple of weeks, including those that I may have missed. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Tony McDade, David McAtee, and the gentleman that was also killed by this white restaurant owner. We have to stop. We have to stop. Black lives matter. It should not be a crime to be Black in this country. This week, I have guest co-hosts Kenneth of Esquire Meals and Chef Wimbo, who is a personal chef. Wanted to support and uplift and empower Black businesses, and I thought this was a perfect time to do this in light of everything going on. Here is my conversation with two of my favorite Black chefs. You are listening to Black and Nuance Podcast, and I have some special guest co-hosts on with me this week. I'm celebrating 50 episodes, and so I'm dropping 2 episodes this week, and one of them is with my some favorite chefs of mine, Kenneth of Esquire Meals and Chef Wimbo. I actually met Wimbo when I lived in Miami, and then he did some stuff for my line sisters at Norfolk State for homecoming for our 15th year Deltaversary. But I just felt like because everyone is in their pantries and kitchens and we just keep going back and forth between the bedrooms, the TVs, the food in our hand. I was like, I need to have some chefs on. Let's talk about what's going on. Perfect timing with Rona. And I just want to spotlight Black chefs, right? Like Black and Nuance, we do more than people want to see of Black people. And so I thought it was very important to highlight that. And so, hi guys, how are you?
We're doing well. How are you doing today?
Doing well. When I finally pressed the record button, y'all, we had a whole thing going for 15 minutes and I didn't press record, but that's fine.
And it was perfect.
It was
Yeah.
perfect. But anywho, Wimbo, I'm gonna start with you. Just quickly introduce yourself and tell us about, your business.
Yes, I'm Chef Wimbo. I'm a personal chef in the 757. Just completed 20 years of military service, actually
Woo.
2 years ago. As a personal chef, what I do, I come to your establishment. We provide a 5-star luxury service with any type of course you want to go to, anywhere between a 2 to 7 course meal. And from that, we do the intimate setting, we do romantic settings, we do any and everything that pertains or revolve around food. That's a service that we provide. But not only do I do that by myself, the head honcho of it, I indulge and I bring in my kids with me, and we're out there providing that service across the 757.
I love it. Kenneth of Esquire Meals, talk to me.
Well, Esquire Meals is a health-conscious gourmet meal services company based out of Baltimore, Maryland. So we're having big fun with the wretched out here. We specialize in everything from meal prep to fine dining of small events, large catering events. We service a couple of homeless shelters and after-school daycares, but the one that's really close to my heart is we partner with a nonprofit that specializes in cancer treatment. And so we're helping people eat their way to a healthier life.
Oh, I love that. So while I'm still on you, and I'm going to come to you next, Wimbo, but are you formally trained as a chef? What led you to cooking? Because shout out to our girl Phoebe Lee, because I met you when she did a video series of mine. I sat down with her and you came out to represent and show love.
Yeah.
I thought Esquire Meals was short for Esquire magazine, not prim and proper, but like stylish. She was like, no, honey, he's an Esquire. I was like, ooh, okay.
So yes, Phoebe is definitely amazing. But I am trained as an attorney. I went to Catholic law school in DC, and so I got my Juris Doctor as well as my doctorate in comparative and international law. So I was focusing on really kind of being your international attorney. However, food became my passion, and I started my company actually in law school, which is the real weird and crazy thing about it. I've always been around food. I've been the fat kid in the kitchen with my mom, just trying to taste test all the time. And and then after I graduated from North Carolina Central University, I moved to Connecticut with my godparents. And there was two major things that I had to abide by living and working with them. Was one, I had to be open to trying new things, and two, I had to try a healthier lifestyle because they were like we call them the mountain yoga hippie people, right? No chemicals, preservatives, beef, pork. They worked out. That is so strange to a country boy like me. I was like, what? Where's the lard and the fat bat? But I started to really see the connection in how you're eating and how your body turns out. And that was my grandmother's main thing. She would always say that I realized that cancer runs in my family, and I want to make sure that I don't get cancer. So I
Yep.
started to think about it. And I'm like, well, hypertension and diabetes runs in my family, but we've just been taking it like soldiers. Is there something that we can do about it? And it's really about the food that we're putting in our bodies.
Yeah.
So I started to eat healthier. I started to work out. I ended up going to law school and I would make my meals for myself. Next thing I know, I had my law school colleagues asking for food left and right. So I'm making food for everybody in the law school, and then Instagram became popping. And so I'm putting it on Instagram, and then I had strangers coming up to the law school library, picking up meals uh, while I'm studying for exams. So it's really been something that just started out of kind of fun and enjoying it, well, needing to survive in DC in the law school. And now it's like a full fledged beast that's kind of scary, but I'm taking on day by day.
I love that. I love that. I can't wait to hear Wimbo's story because you were talking about you did 20 years in the military. You just finished that up. You said about 2 years ago. What led you to this?
When I left New York and joined the military, I was 17. And I did a little bit of cooking back in the day because I always got in trouble. So I was always on punishment. And you're on punishment. Who's always in the house? Grandma always in the house throwing it down. So I was in the kitchen with my grandmas on both sides. So as time progressed, I continued to do that. And in the military, we meet a lot of people, travel all over the place and things like that. So I was always over my friend's house cooking, and every time I would cook, everyone was always saying, "Yo, this is mad good. This is mad good." So from that point, I picked it up. I went to college, went to Culinary Institute of Virginia, graduated from there, and met a couple of chefs that took me under their wing, exposed me to the personal chef side because all I was familiar with at the time was the restaurant industry and things like that. So the personal side, I just got completely infatuated with it because it was personal. I get to actually meet these people. They get to know who I am, my background, my goals, my passion for it. And from there, I did a first event for some Kappas, a Kappa Christmas party, and the word spread like wildfire. And I just kept staying to it and doing it. So word always started picking up. Then I got into the point where I came across a couple of celebrities, cooked for them, traveling out of state, cooking for people and things like that. So that's how I got into it and everything. And what drives me and continuously drives me is the passion, but not only the passion, the love from the feedback that I get from my customers or anyone that I come across, that if it's me selling a plate out of the house or whatever the case may be. So now it just drives me because no matter what day goes on with somebody or whatever the case may be, they definitely love food. Like food changes your whole persona on anything, especially if you got the shorties that's what is it, hangry?
Mhm. Absolutely. When you
So coming off with something that's great, definitely for their palate, is one of the reasons why I got into continue to do it. And not only that, bringing families back to the table. When I was a kid, time to eat was 5:30, 6 o'clock. If you wasn't there, you was in trouble. And don't try to get anything to eat after that. So it allowed us to, rekindle and unite with one another around wasn't gourmet meals back then. Mom was struggling, but it was a memorable moment because it had us all together. And as I was growing up and I got my kids and things like that, I realized that a lot of homes don't do that anymore. Everybody's struggle, everybody's chasing a dollar. Everybody on that dollar treadmill trying to get that money, and it takes away from some things. And one of the things that you definitely don't ever want to take from are taken away from you is your family. So it allowed families to come back to the dinner table and enjoy the company of one another, and put those electronic devices down. Everybody got their head down for the most part of their life now with this electronics going on. Lift your head up, see what's going on around you, see the world. You know what I mean? Enjoy something that's beautiful, because out of what 1.5 million sperm cells, you was the one who made it through. So pop off.
Thanks for that math.
Thanks for the math. I was like, damn, like he took me back to sex, and I was like, was it 1.5 million sperm cells? Like, it's
mean,
a
It
lot.
was a bunch of them in there, wasn't it?
1.5 million sound better than 1 million.
Y'all are crazy. So wait, Wimba, while I'm still on you, what have been, you all are Black men, and with everything going on in this world, in this country, especially as it relates to Black people, what have been the challenges along the way pursuing this personal chef career path, professionally and personally, the challenges?
Well, my main pet peeve, and it drives me up this wall, dead ass, is that when people say Black people don't support Black people, I'm here
Mm,
to tell you I am valid proof that that is bullshit.
mm,
98.3% of my clientele is African Americans or people of color. People of color, if it's, they're African Americans, they're Puerto Rican, Latino, Mexican, Asian, Indian, or whatever the case may be. Those are the people that have been riding with me
mm,
day one. Day
mm.
one. Any and everything that I've been doing, those was the individuals that had my back. And I'm not bashing Caucasians or whatever the case may be. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. It's just that majority of colored individuals have been the ones supporting me. Now, I'm not saying they other individuals or races don't support me, because they do too, but I have a high dynamic number in that field of individuals that's of color. So by that being said, that drives me up the wall, because I'm proof. I'm proof that I sit down with doctors, lawyers, business owners, CEOs that's African American or of color, and they're the ones that's giving me the tools to make myself better, providing me with the information that I did not have coming up as a young Black minority in inner city and things like that. So dealing with this business, I love I love what it's doing. I love what people are doing for me. I love what how it's moving. I really don't really have too many issues because of how I carry myself, my demeanor, and what my brand represent. That's a lot to come from my background being in the military. I know how to conduct myself accordingly and things of that nature. So by doing this and seeing what is done and the impact and the influence that I have on people is horrible.
I love that. Kenneth, what about you? What are some challenges, if any, that you've dealt with personally and professionally? Oh shit. We You know how when Black people chuckle when you ask them a question, they about to go into some shit? Like, oh shit.
I said I wasn't gonna go there, but here we go. Now here we are.
Please.
I'm glad Chef Wimbo went first for all the positivity. But as I expressed earlier, my trajectory has been slightly different, and it's probably one that pushed me into entrepreneurism, because when I was in the corporate world, I've always been the fly in the buttermilk bowl, as my mother would put it, right? So
Mm.
the one Black kid in a room full of white people all the time, and it's draining. So you've always wished and stressed the fact that you wanted someone to look like you. So when I was in those positions in the corporate arena, I was the only one that looked like me, and I just felt like I wasn't being developed, or that I was always doing all of the work and not getting the credit. And it got to a point where I had enough, and I had Esquire Meals on the side, and I just decided to push Esquire Meals full throttle, because that is one thing that I had control over,
Yep.
compared to being in these rooms with all of these very, very wise people, but white splaining stuff for me, or trying to say what Kenneth is trying to say. And there was one time I had to turn and say, Kenneth is not trying to say anything.
Ooh.
Kenneth said what he said. My first language is English. I don't need a translator. So let's cut the shit and just, go with what I said. And so I think that that's one of the most interesting things for me, and why people always think that my story is so strange, is that because in corporate America, I just felt like I wasn't being heard and I wasn't being developed. But strangely enough, with everything that's going on and kind of begging to see people that look like you, it's kind of crazy that when you see people that look like you, they're being murdered in the streets like animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that desire is sort of fulfilled, but in a weird nightmare of that, like, I have to do something different. I have to be something different, because I'm sort of the catalyst of change, right? There's been, and I promise I won't be before you long, but there's been numerous of times where, I'm a big old black man, like 6'3". I'm the big thing that goes bump in the night. As I've been pulled over by the police a number of times, so any of those situations could have been me. And even in these rooms, those types of people that spoke for me or spoke over me are the same people that have dinner with these cops and stuff that are taking away our privileges.
Right.
And so the only way that I can show people that we're not just some animals in the street is, one, is to use my intellect to kind of have those intellectual conversations. Because a lot of times whenever I'm doing events or something, they think I work for the company. I'm like, oh no, I own it. And a couple more too. But as well as to add value to society so that I have something to talk about in the room. I'm invited to the room so they can see us in another light. Because whenever you see us across the media, it's always something so negative. And I think that there needs to be strikes of positivity to for people to understand the African American culture differently. Because if you are only informed by what you see on TV, then you have a skewed perception of who we are as a people.
Listen, there's a couple of things that you said that really, really resonated. The fact that you said they can't, this is mine. I have control over this. This is autonomy. When I tell you, Kenneth, I have walked out of spaces or left spaces because I was like, no fucking way. I know you can't tell me what to do on my platform. You can't tell me what to say on my platform. And that's the reason why I really did Black and Nuanced. And so I love the fact that when you show up in these spaces, you said that a big black man that goes bump in the night. Don't forget the muscular black man that goes bump in the night, right? Because I be seeing you on Instagram. But the fact that they're always expecting us to not be the ones in control or the face of it. And listen, there's this meme that I had saved with Michael Jackson when he was younger with his afro, and it says, "You raggedy bitch." And listen, please read these people their rights, because you're also a motherfucking esquire. And if you need to go toe to toe with hoes legally, you can do that too. And I love that they don't know that they already have these expectations of us. Same thing for Wimbo, right? Like, he's been in the military, Like, you don't know my receipts. You don't know my resume. And if I need to, bitch, I'll show you. And I don't even like to get that extra with it, but it's been so frustrating because we're recording this on quote unquote Blackout Tuesday, but it's just been so frustrating with everything going on. So some of the things that you said really resonated. So I had to kind of get that out. But yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, so what about, and maybe this might tie in, but the socializations and or judgments you all have had to navigate in this space. Wimbo, I'll start with you.
Well, a lot was the stereotypes. Definitely because I'm a minority or African American, black man, or whatever the case may be. But I was dealing with a lot of those when I go up to some meetings and things like that, trying to network and build out, because it was just the look that everybody had, the first judgment off of the look. But then once I began to speak and talked about my business and how I conducted my events, those things would flourish away because the work performance that I put in. But not only was it the work performance that I put in a lot of cases, like I said, I do my business with my children because I'm building a legacy for them. So having them around and those things being seen and stuff, they definitely was able to understand and get it. So I hope that answered your question.
Mm-hmm. So you dealt with, it sounded like, until they actually met you and heard and felt like they got reputable feedback about your company or hearing about the things that you've done, did they really believe that this was an actual business that they would want to do business with?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So it was also, once I started dealing and generating my portfolio. So like getting my portfolio together, having the pictures there, having the video, utilizing social media as the ultimate free marketing tool, it definitely alleviated a lot of those personas and also those stereotypes because people were actually able to see what's
Mhm.
going on, and by watching the videos and things like that. And then not only that, definitely the military definitely has a big influence because my rank that I was before I retired, I dealt with and had a lot of friends in the military that seen me cooking and came up on that as well. So I was able to branch out into that market with the military as well. So, and in that field, it alleviated a lot of those things. So on my end, I would say I've been fortunate enough not to deal with that in a large realm. So,
Okay.
but I have
Yeah.
dealt with it in small increments, and it definitely didn't go unnoticed. So I felt good after what everything happened or the events that I would do for these individuals because they would, give me 5 stars across the board, saying everything was superb and definitely remarkable. But not only that, the minorities that seen it or the black and the people of color seeing it, it really inspired them a lot because a lot of them, especially the men and women of my age caliber, they seen a black man passing things on to his children. And they have that stereotype that black men don't take care of their kids. It ain't no real good black
Mhm.
fathers, no dads, things like that. And once again, to caveat back to what I said earlier in reference to being a minority and doing it and saying that black people don't support people, I not only do I get supported by a lot of people of color, I also am a man of color myself that's contributing and building my youth, and my youth is my kids.
I love that. I mean, the one thing I'll say before we go to Canada though too, Wimble, the one thing I think about is also, which is unfortunate, military to me equals whiteness. So in their minds, because you were part of that space and they feel like that may add some uh credibility to who you are, but we know how talented we are. We know, what we can do. It's just it's we're still in that space where we they'll hire you because they have to fill diversity requirements or gender requirements, not because like your skill sets, but if people were to see what you do, and I mean they can follow you, and we'll talk about all that at the very end of the episode. The shit looks amazing. So does Kenneth. And Kenneth, you're closer to me. So I might have to pull up on you in
Pull up.
Baltimore. Okay. Because I'm like, if he puts one more chicken and waffle, one more shrimp, one more piece of salmon in my face, like I'm over y'all. Kenneth, what I mean, like I know you spoke on some of it, but like as far as like now that your business is up and running and you're really moving in that space, what have you been forced to deal with now, socializations wise, judgment wise, and obviously with everything that we're going through with the civil unrest?
So I guess I've always had a problem with the word no and people telling me I can't. My parents will tell you that if they told me no, I would find a way to get it somehow, some way. And I guess that's why I do well and where I am now. But I think one of the hardest things that I'm running into right now is that we just acquired two buildings in the hood. West Baltimore Street, which is traditionally Black Wall Street of Baltimore. We bought two buildings on that street, and now it's time to like turn it over. And so as I'm looking for funding and talking to people about my dreams, they're like, "Well, people don't want that type of food over there." And I'm like, "But you don't know what my clientele looks like. They
Right.
they 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 eat Brussels sprouts, they eat it all, and they're from all realms of a lot of my client base are African American people or companies that are pushing me to help me grow. And so I think that that is one of the biggest roadblock that I'm running to now as I'm jumping into a new arena because now we're getting into like property development and like huge numbers. Um, and how they forget about our communities so much, and even trying to like push or promote me to move into, well, we know the type, these white areas, because
Mm-hmm.
that's who can afford your work. No. They all can afford my work. I want to stay in the African American communities because one, they need to see what it looks like, and we need to be eating better and healthier. And just because it's healthy, it doesn't have to be grass and sticks. You talked about before. I have chicken and waffles and shrimp and grits, and we deserve that in the areas that people are trying to forget about. And so I think that is one of the biggest, I think, issues that I'm running into right now. But it's a fun
Oh,
issue to have.
I didn't realize you bought buildings, and at the end, my goal would be to really share all of the things because I want to know how we can support. I appreciate you for signing up to be a patron on my page because I'm doing different things, but I really want to figure out how we can really elevate and empower you and Wimbo. I mean, with you doing all those types of things, I think that's freaking amazing, and I love that you are staying steadfast on staying in our communities because the assumption is when we see what is healthy, we're seeing it from a white perspective, right? Like Brussels
Mm-hmm.
sprouts. Oh, don't forget, you gotta hold your breath. Oh, don't forget that you have to eat, you gotta throw up your food. Oh, you gotta, it's all the things like don't eat too much, do this, like and we've seen it from their perspective, from wherever they're dealing with, but we can eat certain things. And I think also Black people know like what we deal with underlying health conditions wise. So we could say like, no, you need to get more of this in so you can reduce the amount of XYZ that's happening maybe in your family lineage. My mom has high blood pressure. She has all these different things. Like since I've been home the past 2 months, I know I've definitely gained a few pounds, but I'm also being mindful of how my mom is eating. Like she cooks,
Mm-hmm.
she's West Indian, Candace. So she's cooking all the things. And I'm
Oh,
like, mommy, I
all
don't
the
want
stuff that y'all was making. I was like,
Bruh.
ooh.
Yes, I was like, mommy, I don't want to eat all these things. Like, I haven't eaten like this. And so, like, all the meats and things of that nature, I was like, oh no, I don't want to eat this heavy. But to your point, I really like that there's a spin, right? Like, I like that that you all are focusing on healthy ingredients, but making the shit look good. Like you could remix shrimp and grits, and the grits are whole oats, or like people just don't.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, come on now. I don't. Yeah, I don't.
And you bring up a very interesting point because I seen a clip of, I think her name is Lonnie Love on,
Yes.
and she started crying about Black people not knowing how to eat well. And so I thought that was just interesting because I tell everybody that it's all about balance. Okay. I like fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, and collard greens. I'm from North Carolina. Okay. I don't eat pork anymore, but I remember fatback sandwiches. So okay, even though I don't eat it, it's all about balance. If you're eating those heavy meals every day, that is the issue. But if you are breaking it up with a salad here, some quinoa there, some Brussels sprouts there, I know all these things that make you turn up your nose. It's just probably it wasn't prepared the right way because we've all had that client that's like, I don't like X, Y, and Z. And like, that's because when your mama made it, no offense to your mama, she's probably a great lady, but she overcooked your Brussels sprouts to where they are soggy and mushy, and she cooked all the life out of them because that's how we've been conditioned to cook our vegetables, right? So you can mash them with a fork somehow. Mm-hmm. And then you cooked out all of the nutrients, but as well as the taste. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of reprogramming how we look at food and all these bright colors. And I thank social media for the opportunity to get that out there. And I can sneak these little oils and additives in there, such as MCT oil or some liquid amino acids to help, build your immune system as we're going through these difficult times, because that's how we used to cook back in the day. The witch doctors and everything with all these roots and powders and stuff and throwing them into food. That's how we were able to survive a lot of tense times. And so we have to go back into one of the things that, what is the fuel, I like to say, that we're putting in our body, because, my body is a big body Benz, and it's going to take 93 gas. I can't put no 87 in this, all right? You got to put 93 in this for it to run correctly, or it's going to begin to backfire. It's going to break down. You're not treating it right. And so if you look at your body like a luxury car, you'll treat it slightly better.
Ooh, I love that analogy. Wimbo, I'm going to throw to you because I wanted you all to talk about also, even though people may not be, the listeners may not be in your area, or if they ever go to your area, how does the Meals on Wheels situation work? I know right now, like I've been seeing you all promoting, delivering things, and, Wimbo has been sending me his damn menus, and I'm like, Wimbo, I am not close to 7 I'm 7, but I receive it, right? Like he has the whole menu image ready to go. And so, but talk to me about the Meals on Wheels if people really want to get in and how did you even organize that and like the price points for people that really want to get into what you're doing, but may not be there, but want to eat healthier?
All right. So how I got into this was, like I said, when I was doing a military thing and cooking at houses, one of my homegirls, her name is Liz. She was like, "Yo, Wimbo, you need to do this. You need to sell these plates." And this was probably about 6 years ago, 6 years ago. So I was like, "All right, let me check it out." And for real, it went skyrocket. It went skyrocket. So as me being a human, one thing of humanity, we always evolve. So I've been evolving and doing other things outside of it. But then once the COVID came in, I had to shut down my kitchen and find other avenues. So the thing about me finding other avenue, I was like, go back to my roots, go back to where I originally started, see what it is, see how it do. And from there it was smack. So why COVID went on or COVID is going on, I was like, let me reach back out to them with the food because I'm not hitting nobody over the head with the prices that I serve for the food at the beginning because that's what started. I'm not doing this to make a buck or try to get in people pockets. I'm doing this because I want you to experience good quality food. Not only the quality of the food, just I love doing that. And just spread the love, get it out there. And I get a lot of positive feedback from people. One girl bit her nail off, didn't know it. People were always going to sleep after eating the food and things like that. So that's what got me behind it and started doing it through the Meals on Wheels type deal. So you say because my kitchen had to be on pause because of the COVID-19.
That's not, I received that. Kenneth, is your story similar to like, did Rona, AKA COVID-19, was that the catalyst for you to really start delivering meals or was that already part of a service that Esquire Meals offered?
So that's what we started. We started off in meal prep back when I was in law school, 2013. So we were already doing personalized, proportioned meals. However, we had just started getting into bigger events that can kind of take us to the next level. You get an event of 400 people, 500 people, and all of those were canceled. And I remember like it was yesterday in March where I was like, okay, we just bought these buildings. We about to hit some numbers this year. It's going to be amazing. And then COVID was just some type of cough in China or something like that. We heard nothing about it. And I'm planning out the whole spring. A week later, COVID was this huge thing. And then when I tell you I received about 15 cancellations in 2 days, I think that's the most nervous I have ever been in my life.
Mm.
Because everything is hinging on events. There's already a slow season for catering right after Christmas, and meal prep was sort of kind of down because a lot of people are doing meal prep respectfully. And I was like, okay, well, I'm moving into this building, this catering, let's pick this up. And then it just kind of put the brakes on everything for about 2 weeks. And so I had to kind of realign the goals and was like, okay, we got to go back to what your bread and butter was, which was meal prep. And so after pushing that, those same companies that I may have had events for are now trying to get those personalized meals for their whole team. I'm like, okay, good. Sometimes you just got to go back to what go back to your roots, figure it out, and don't panic too much and keep hustling. And so my business has actually picked up because I'm able to service more people with the personalized meals.
Makes perfect sense. I love that. I definitely, definitely love that. And so do you all, and we're going to transition into the last segment, but do you all, how do you get the message out there? Have you all been using Instagram? Do you all have ways of people is it that you all decide that you want to cook something and that's what it is? Are you all getting requests? Like, how do you lay out your menus on what you want to do? And so it's Kenneth, since I'm still on you, how do you go decide what you're cooking for the day? Like breakfast, lunch, dinner?
So we put out a menu every Wednesday for the upcoming meal prep. And we break it down in an interesting way where it's proteins, veggies, carbs, and then one hit wonders. So our clients can go through our portal and customize each meal that they get. They can stay, and that helps them stay on track because they're ordering things that they like But the one hit wonders are things like your turkey sweet potato chili or your shrimp and grits, things like that that just go together. You wouldn't break them up. In addition to that, they can tack on breakfast options such as our sweet potato waffles or our French toast casserole, or even snacks like our chocolate dipped clementines or our protein brownies, so that they can be fueled properly throughout the whole day. In addition to our meal prep, we do family meal drop offs where we blow up those options in larger size for families of four or more. And then we've also been doing some smaller social distancing events of 10 people or less. And those have been really interesting to see sort of how events have changed from us being so fun and free to kind of walking around with gloves and a face mask on and wiping down things every 15 seconds. It's kind of exciting to kind of be on the front line of the, I guess we call it the new normal.
When I tell you, and we're gonna offline, I am on your website, and I'm like, wait a minute, sprinkle some garnish on that shit. That is so cute. I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh, because I am transitioning into merch, and that's why I got to build with you. I bought you're building my black ass business sweater, so I was excited about that after seeing Phoebe wear it. But I freaking love it. Wimbo, real quick before we go into this last segment. How are people?
Wait, can we get into how Chef Wimbo just picked up a whole shark and put it in the webcam though?
Oh, I missed it.
You missed it. He held up a whole shark or something in the camera.
Wimbo, let me see this. Wimbo,
See,
you have a.
that's why you should be on video so you can see something. They're playing.
No, I could see your video, Wimbo. I just went to another tab. Oh shit! How did you know that was shark?
No, it's salmon.
I don't think it's a shark.
Oh,
It's real big, so it kind of could be a shark. But yeah, it's salmon.
Okay, so come closer to the mic. So tell me.
It's salmon is snapper. I'm wilding.
You said what?
I said it's salmon, not a snapper.
Oh, got it. Okay. How are you getting your services out there? What do you have you been doing during Rona? How do you set your menu? Are you doing Instagram only? Like what are people like, where can people find like when they want to order stuff from you?
Well, if you, I do it off through Instagram a lot. I put it on my Facebook business page, business page. I started the customers on a schedule, so it's letting them know what days I'm a cook. So I do have requests on items that I do for the sale, but then majority of the time is me pushing out what I feel like cooking that day. And then
Okay.
so I also do a couple of items a few times a month or a couple times a month because those were my signature items that a lot of my peoples and my folks love to get into and get
Okay.
because it's just something that I feel like cooking. So that's how I do pretty much generate my menu is off of what I feel like cooking or requests that I have, and also add in or throw in my signature items that shake the 757 up a bit.
Okay, cool. So we're going to go into this last segment called All of the Things, which is usually lighthearted or heavy, depending on the mood. And I'm going to keep it light since this week has been really heavy, or the past couple of weeks has been really heavy. I want to get into, the pantry confessions is what I'm calling it. Pantry confessionals. So Timberland and Swiss Beats have been doing Versus series, and they had a Versus series with Beanie Man and Bone T Killer. And the running meme has been how Beanie Man's belly looked so full and so ripe and, looked like he was pregnant. But it was just the whole running joke of, I have family friends that are Caribbean. They're like, oh, he has a woman, so she's feeding him right and ting. And so what is like Kenneth with you, what's your pantry looking like these days? Like what are your go-to snacks and meals and things that you just want comfort wise that's been holding you down during Rona?
I've been having an infatuation with lamb for some reason. I don't know. Like I got money, right? But
You do.
whether it's a lamb,
We receive the abundance, honey.
okay, I've been eating lamb left and right. Whether it's lamb chops, I've been making lamb sausage sandwiches, lamb pizza, lamb nachos. It's just something about lamb that has been really hitting it off between that and waffles. I might end up trying to put them together, but I think it might be a little disgusting. So we can figure that out.
Please have.
But that's my go-to right about now.
Okay. Wimbo, pantry confessions. What's been your go-to as of now through Rona?
Oh, I'm a snacker. I'm all about my chocolate chip cookies and ice cream.
Chocolate chip cookies.
That's
Mm.
because it's like I cook so much, and that's one thing that us as chefs can all relate to. We cook so much, we really don't want our own food. We really enjoy when somebody cook us
Mhm.
something or make us something like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or cup of noodles or whatever the case may be. As long as we ain't making it, man, that's like the crack meal right there. So my pantry, it's average. It's like anybody else's home or whatever the case may be. But when I'm in the mood to throw down, like I got this snapper right here, so I'm gonna throw down snapper tonight. Snapper is gonna be a 5 spice snapper with a mango pico de gallo over sauteed asparagus and some fried rice. And with the rice, I'm gonna add some turmeric to it because turmeric is a definitely good thing for the body. So the rice will have that yellow with the color of the sandwich, so that thing gonna be popping.
I've heard that, and my mom doesn't even like. My mom gets full from smelling her own food, right? Like and tasting, and so every time she's cooking something, she's like, "I don't want to eat right now. I'm good." Like she'll snack along the way. Last question: how are you all taking care of yourself, self care wise? I just want to do a check in on our people. Wimbo, I'll go back to you.
Well, right now, how I'm keeping my mental, I'm a night owl. So when I actually had that downtime, I'm reading. I'm actually reading one book from a lady that's in this area from fierce to something. She got into a real bad car accident and at a young age and everything like that. But she rocking, doing herself well. And I interact. I do a lot of interacting with my kids and do some downtime for me. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things that's going on in the world. Then not only that, personal things that I have. So these things that come into my life and that I deal with, I definitely, I take time to analyze it, and I talk to people about it. I talk to my day ones, my brothers. I talk to my mom a lot about things going on, so I don't keep that stuff built in, you know what I mean? Because you keep throwing those skeletons in a closet, eventually that closet is gonna go over full and all that junk gonna just fall out and you're gonna be spazzing. So, and I learned those things from mistakes, every mistake is a learning opportunity. It depending on the individual if they decide to look at the glass half full, vice half empty. So doing those things, staying active, staying involved and stuff, having a good time, not stressing over things that's not in my control is definitely helping me out. Listening to everything that people are talking about, not letting it make play a major influence on my decisions and how I view it. I'll take those things into consideration, and then like I said, I'll analyze it and I'll assess it to where I can see both sides and try to be positive about everything, because all of these blessings that I've been receiving, there's no need for me to go ahead and be negative. So if I stay positive and keep a positive mind and talk about what's going on with me and my problems or whatever the case may be, it helps out a lot. I tell my fellas, my boys, my brothers, my family, everyone that I love them a lot more. I'm really inspired by giving individuals roses while they still
Yep,
here, vice when they can't pick them up and smell them. You know
I
what I
love
mean?
that.
So those are things that I'm doing, you know what I mean? Trying to stay proactive and, just stay grinding, setting myself with goals, accomplishing those goals. Everybody wants to make it. Everybody wants to make it some way, shape, or form, whatever way they feel the need to make it. But a lot of people don't take into consideration the road in between. All these all of these wrenches that get thrown your way, all of these things to subtract or take away from you making it to where you need to make it to. So it's just a matter of staying focused and staying positive and keeping the grass cut so you can see the snakes.
Yeah, Kenneth. What about you?
Well, I'll be honest. This whole lockdown has really hit me hard because it took the two things that I love the most away from me, which was the gym and getting my hair cut. So I went through a real big struggle of just like having, because the gym was my therapy. I would be in there 3 or 4 hours to really just knock out some of the issues that I'll be having in life to get my mind together. So since I've been in lockdown, it's really been the two dogs that I have, my Afghan hounds. They have been rock stars. One is a puppy, so she's giving me all the life and joy and stuff that I need. And the other one is older, so she's like the cuddle bug. And then also I've been picking up in my garden. I have like a cucumber, cauliflower, some peppers back there, and just trying to figure out how I can give myself the farm to table experience so that when this is all over, I can come back rocking because I have to be realistic in what I've asked for. And so 2020, we all said 2020 was going to be the year of perfect vision, right?
Mm.
However, we can't get mad that the universe made us sit still to obtain that perfect vision.
Mm.
And so that's how I'm looking at this time in solitude or in lockdown or whatever you want to call it. It's time to refine your skills and to be innovative because there is light at the end of the tunnel. And you have to make sure that you're going to be on the front end of that. Some of the best inventions are made during times like this. And so why am I not figuring out different ways to be more strategic, more powerful, more of a whirlwind here in Baltimore while everything is still? Because that's what I needed before. I would always say I didn't have time to do X, Y, and Z. Well, hell, I have nothing but time right about now.
Right.
I'm over here planting shit. So
I love it.
take advantage of it and making things that I haven't made before and finding new ways to kind of be just a better me. So I had to really change that trajectory because those first 2 weeks was hitting me hard. I felt like I was an adult. Time out, it was a bunch of champagne that had been drank and a bunch of cookies that had been eaten. And that summer body turned into a dad body in about 3 days.
For all of us. I went from walking over 5,000 plus steps in New York to less than 1,000 when I came to my mom's house in Northern Virginia. And so I am working on all of it. Fellas, starting with you, Wimbo, how can they find you online?
Okay, so if anyone's looking to, do any research or find me on anything, you could definitely Google me, Chef Wimbo, Wimbo. You can also check out my website. That's www.chefwimbo.com. If you want to look up me, check me out on social media. My IG is chef_Wimbo, Wimbo. My Facebook is Chef Wimbo as well. You can find my business page on there, along with Twitter is Chef Wimbo. So anything in reference to Chef Wimbo is going to bring me up. I've been around for a little minute.
Thank you, love. And then Kenneth, take it away.
Got you. So everything is Esquire Meals over here. You can find us online at www.esquiremills.com, on Instagram at Esquire Meals, Facebook at Esquire Meals. We don't have any Twitter or anything like that, and no OnlyFans quite yet.
That's funny because my next episode I'm recording is actually about OnlyFans versus every other platform because I'm on Patreon. That is so funny that you said that.
Keep it up. I might have an OnlyFans.
TikTok when I dance. That demon time. Y'all are so silly. Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Please keep doing the Lord's work and our community's work because that's amazing. I definitely want to get in, Kenneth, on what you have going on because I keep saying to myself, let me just spend a day because Baltimore is 2 hours from my mom's house. But I'm like, I got to get it in, man. Like, there's just so much. I think it's actually an hour and some change. But anywho, I was like, I got to get in on what he has going on because this food looks delicioso. So
come on, we can have a small social distance.
Well, please, I want to. I don't know why I didn't hit you up for Memorial Day. I was like, damn, I wanted to go somewhere. Forgot to hit my girlfriend up to go to her place because we were going to do something while I was still in town. But no, let's plan something before I go back to New York, Kenneth.
Shame. This weekend I had my first it was my birthday. My birthday's today. And so I had
happy birthday.
Thank you. I had a hot boy bummer weekend because everything was closed down. So we went from a slumber party to a brunch to a cookout to the farmer's market. A really interesting weekend to have. So come on and we can have that same type of feel here. Just a nice vibe that feels sort of like my times in New York when I was fun and flirty. Right about now, I'm kind of boring.
Yes, we'll do it. We'll offline because I want to connect with you about your shop, your online shop, and just that wave. And I love it. So fellas, Kenneth, thank you so much. Wimbo, thank you so much. And you all be safe.
All right, you as well. Wait, we forgot to ask you, how are you doing during this time?
Facts.
Ooh, I am doing as well as one can be. I had a conversation again. We're recording this on Tuesday. It's going to come out Thursday, but had a conversation and, there are people, a girlfriend of mine, like she and I used to work together and she is racialized as a white woman or she identifies as a white woman. And we were talking about different things that need to happen. And I remember certain things coming out and like how angry I got. Like I would see things on Twitter. I would see things online and I'm like going at it with my fingers and like just retweeting things and letting people know where I stand with certain shit. But I think it really came out when you had someone that was actually inquiring and wanting to know what they can do and hearing from our own experiences, what we deal with. And so for me, I go in and out. I'll see things and I'll be in tears. I have moments where I'm looking for the content that makes me laugh. But I'm being very aware and I am doing my best to really put my content where my mouth is. I want to build and support and pour into Black ecosystems. And that's that.com. I think this is a time that uprising needs to happen where we are supporting our own businesses. And not to say that I wasn't on that way, but because I've been in and out of white spaces and seeing that they're putting out all these statements and saying we support you, but 8 minutes and 45 seconds of a blackout still doesn't reflect that your senior leadership is all fucking white people. So I'm just being very vocal about where I stand with certain things and then, building GeorgettePierre.com with my brand and just going in with that. That's where I've been.
Come on, Georgette.
Listen, I got some things coming. Go ahead, Wimbo. What were you about to say?
Nancy.
Well, I'm trying to also be sensitive to the content because a lot of the content I filmed was done either like before Rona or during Rona, and it was a month prior to all the shenanigans happening now. And so I want to be very sensitive to what I'm putting out. So that's where I'm at. But I appreciate you all for asking, and we just got to take care of each other, man. Yeah. So, fellas, please be safe.
Likewise.
I love you all, and I'm gonna start saying that more too.
Definitely.
Yes, we love you as well.
Take care.
Mwah. All right, fellas, be safe. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again.
All right.
Okay. Bye. Thank you so much to Chef Wimbo and Kenneth of Esquire Meals. I'll make sure to put their links in the show notes, as well as resources to help affect change as it relates to this civil unrest and this police brutality against Black people. If you want to know how to help, do more than just posting a blackout photo. Do more than just saying and asking Black people what to do. I will post links to different things that I have been seeing and that seem trustworthy, because that's also the biggest thing. You can find me on Twitter at Georgette and Instagram at Georgette Pierre. You can find the show on Twitter and Instagram at Black Nuance Pod. That's BLACKNUANCED Pod. Find me on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, iHeartRadio, Google Play, TuneIn, and Spotify at Black and Nuanced Podcast. And you can email me at blacknuancedpod@gmail.com for questions, comments, and feedback. I'm also officially on Patreon under Georgette Pierre. You could just Google me in there, or just search my name in Patreon, Georgette Pierre. Your support as a patron will contribute to my production company's goal to positively contribute to the Black experience. It's only $5 a month. That's it. With your $5, you can get exclusive and early access to various digital series and Black and Nuanced podcast-related content, behind-the-scenes look at the creative process input with patron-only polls, ad-free podcast episodes, monthly live Q&As answering industry-related questions, and patron shout-outs. And most recently, thank you to Jareen and Kenneth of Esquire Meals for signing up to be a patron. I thank you for your support as I transition into my next journey. I am just so grateful for those that are patrons right now. And again, you can jump in $5 a month for all those things. Every bit helps. For those that are struggling, for those that are wondering what to do next, I don't have all the answers either. And I know it's just been a toll on for those that identify as Black people. We are a resilient kind of people, and we will get through this. I don't know what it looks like, but whatever you feel like your ministry is, just know any contribution, whether it's donating, whether it's being on the front lines, whether it's organizing, there is a place for everybody, and we don't have to shame each other on not doing enough unless you're being absolutely fucking quiet. But from what I've seen, for the people that I follow on Twitter, we have not been quiet at all. If anything, we've been making as much noise as possible. And so if you're interested in being an ally, jump into the things that we are doing. Use your privilege that you may not be willing to admit that you have to support the Black Lives Matter movement, to dismantle the things that have been causing injustice and civil unrest, because we will continue to burn shit down until things change. Celebrating 50 episodes, my 50th episode. I appreciate and love you all. Thank you so much. Please, please, please stay safe until the next episode. Peace.